Hey guys, welcome to Dash and Holmesy Young at Heart. I'm one of your hosts, Dash, along with my co-host, Holmesy. Hello, Holmesy.
What's going on? It's been too long. It's been far too long. I've missed this. I've missed you. I've missed doing pods together. God damn.
Yeah, 2 months. 2 months to be exact.
It's nice to be back. It's going to be talking to the community and talking about games. I was about to say good games, about to say bad games. You're going to find out what we think about games.
That's right. We're going to be talking about the games and the games. So it has been a little while, and obviously the last episode we did was on Kingdom Hearts, and previously obviously on Persona, but tonight it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to be talking about Shooty Shooty Bang Bang tonight, and we'll get into that in a second. So guys, if you didn't know, Dash and Holmes is usually our tri-weekly book club inspired gaming podcast where Holmesy and I sit down and talk about some of the latest games in book club format. Tonight, though, we're going to be doing a review cast, and we're currently talking tonight about Wolfenstein Youngblood, released July 26, 2019, developed by Machine Games and Arcane Studios, and published by Bethesda. If you like what you hear tonight, make sure that you follow us on SoundCloud.com, iTunes, and Spotify. We can give us those cheeky 5-star ratings, but you can find that all on dashandholmesy.com and dashgamer.com. So, Holmesy, let's just dive into it, because you know what, if anything, first I'll ask you, I think it'd be good for a timing kind of thing. When did you so first of all, thanks to Bethesda for actually giving us the review codes.
Hell yeah, thanks Bethesda, 100%.
Yeah, thank you so much to Bethesda for actually supplying the game to us so we can actually review it. So I should ask, when did you receive the game?
I got a couple of days before. No, sorry, not a couple of days. A day before release.
Okay.
So we had to play it 10 p.m. The day before the game actually launched live on Steam and all that.
Oh, very cool. So I got it last Monday, which honestly I can't remember the date now, which was July 29th. So I received it on July 29th. So I've had about a week and a bit to play it. So first of all, I want to ask, before we get into our deep impressions of the game, your history with the new series of Wolfenstein games, because obviously Wolfenstein's been going on for a long time, but they only rebooted the series for about 2011, I think it was, when they rebooted with the initial reboot of the franchise. So give me your brief history of playing from the first in the new series onwards.
Yeah, so I mean, the first one was there's Old Blood and New Order.
That's correct.
And there's New Colossus. There's like 3 games that have most recently come out, I think, were like the reboots that have kind of come out, which follow the story of Blazkowicz.
That's correct.
I've played through all of those, and they've been a great time so far. Some of those I'm trying to recall now. I'm pretty sure I did get given some of those for review. One of them I think I bought myself, which was like the first re-release, kind of like the new series that came out. And they've all been great. They've all been an amazing time. It was a new style of shooter for me. I playing like the Wolfenstein games. The way that they feel and the way that they respond it makes me think very much of it's like a really, really pretty, and it's like Doom and Quake Live smushed booties, and it's just really, really it's really, really snappy, really, really fun, very gory, very action packed, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah. Did you say just smushed booties?
yeah. It's like the PG way of saying the other thing.
Fair enough. I will correct myself. So the first one in the new series actually launched in 2014. But yeah, and it was the New Order. So same here. I loved the New Order. I thought that the new series, the new line, and the reboot initially, the reboot was a fantastic game. And when it landed, obviously it had a lot of hope and promise for the series, and it did. The last few games that they've had have been incredible. In terms of the way, they've been able to lay out the story with Blazkowicz, the mechanics, the gunplay, the violence, the bloody, the scenarios that we get, the bloody scenarios we get, the gore, all of it fantastic, because it really rings true to what Wolfenstein was in the past as well. If you ever played like stuff like Castle Wolfenstein and Wolfenstein 3D and all that stuff, you really, really get the essence of the old school games in the new format.
Yeah, no way.
Which is great, and as somebody who's an old man now, can actually say that.
Because I never got to play the original, so like hearing that perspective is kind of cool. Because I've just played the new ones.
Yeah, so it's funny because as a kid, I remember my cousin who lived only next door to me. actually owned not the original. I should say Wolfenstein 3D. He owned on PC. He actually owned it on a floppy disk.
Oh wow, okay.
So you can imagine like playing a game like that on a floppy disk and just jumping in, and it was pure arcade shooting back then. But some of the imagery, obviously from back then, was quite shocking because we had imagery of the Nazi symbol and Hitler and all that kind of deal that was in the original, and that was culture shock.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty confronting stuff to see for some people as well, so I can understand that.
Very much so. So, like there is a deep dive history of Wolfenstein. It's, some of this content might even be banned in Germany. We might not even be able to make this podcast. Like this podcast might not even see the light of day in countries like Germany because of just some of the imagery that's shown. And that's also to say some of the historic value that this series has, because it has been banned in countries due to its violent nature, its play on history as well, like its total time swap.
Well, it's entirely different. Like, I don't want to. Can I spoil game old?
Yeah. The older ones, yes. So spoilers ahead, guys. Yeah,
because you get to kill Hitler as Blazkowicz, and it's like, obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, it's like a completely different. And I mean, aside from that, the whole thing is like everyone in like the 1940s period has got like futuristic tech. Like you're fighting mecha dogs and shit. So it's a complete retake, obviously, on the whole thing. But you get to kill some fucking Nazis. That's good shit.
Yeah. So give me your thoughts now, because I feel like this is almost a juxtaposition, if you will, of how great the games have been, and now we're jumping into the initial impressions of Youngblood. So give me your... Let's start it off like this. Give me your impressions of getting into like maybe the first couple of hours of Youngblood.
Okay. Well, we started this on stream. Like, it was definitely like, because I got given the game to stream, of course. I don't write any written reviews or anything like that. So we jumped on it. When as soon as I started playing it, and I got the game launched. It was 10:01 p.m. when embargo lifted for streaming. So we got in there, and as soon as you start playing, it's very reminiscent of the old types of games. Like it feels exactly the same. Very, very snappy. Really, really smooth. Really well optimized for PC. Like I was playing. It's playing 144 on like ultra settings, like playing max settings on. I'm running a 1080 card, i7 6700K. It's like I've got a 3-year-old PC and I can run it at best settings with no problems, and I'm streaming it.
Right.
So well optimized, really really smooth to play. Feels just like an old Wolfenstein game, or like the previous editions of Wolfenstein, I guess.
Yep.
But it was a lot of fun in the beginning. I enjoyed what we got to check out. It felt like the gunplay felt really good.
I feel like I'm on the same boat as you. Getting into the game was smooth. It was great. Playing it was fun initially. Did you feel like it started to kind of weigh down a little bit after that though?
Yeah, so I finished the first mission. Like I finished the main thing. Like you're playing is Jess and Soph.
Jess and Soph.
I picked Jess, the blonde character. I picked Jess in the start. And a lot of the different things you get to pick, like there's a leveling mechanic in there now. There's enemies with different levels themselves that you have to kind of beat. And you have to be like a certain level to do that. There's a whole new leveling system and mechanic in this game, and you get introduced to that after you've played for a bit. Once you complete the first mission, it's kind of... You get introduced to so many more layers of the game, but I don't like how much this is strayed from the original format, and it's not to say that like if something's not broken, don't fix it. Like you can improve on things, but I really don't like the way that the game has been put together overall. Like I feel like they've tried to overcomplicate things, add too many options. There's microtransactions in this game now for cosmetic things, which you don't need. Obviously, with that being said, the microtransactions are things you can earn as you play through the game, and you'll earn enough silver coins and gold bars and stuff to... Oh, you don't earn gold bars. That's the stuff you pay real money for. You'll earn enough silver coins to collect everything over time, I'm pretty sure, but... I don't like some of the new mechanics about it. It's changed my perspective on Wolfenstein as a series. Yeah. At least for this game, but I still love the old ones, of course. Yeah.
I feel like with the way that gaming is these days, especially with Ubisoft. With Ubisoft and the way they kind of gone forward with these microtransaction tendencies, a lot of other companies have kind of latched on. I mean, I don't call out Ubisoft just generally, there's Ubisoft, the EA, especially EA, who, you know, like, I feel like a game like Battlefield, even, you know, any first-person shooters out there really kind of try to latch onto these microtransaction tendencies, because they try to make a short game but prolong its life with, you know, more money. And I feel like Wolfenstein not necessarily has sold out to that cause, but it really doesn't feel like Wolfenstein when you do something like that after, because Wolfenstein has been true blue arcade shooter. You jump in, you play the game, you enjoy the story for what it is, and then, you know, it has that replay value because you'll always go back to play the story, which is the, you know, the meat and bones of the game. People love Wolfenstein for its hardcore nature because it's such a bloody and violent time, but the story was what people got hooked on, because it was, once again, there's a disposition of it, because it's not true to what we know in history. It's a time loop or a time warp in the story. You know, if the Nazis had taken over, so
it's difficult as well to see that. Like when you're playing the game, it's just like, oh, fuck, the Nazis actually won in this story. Okay, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty big change of, obviously, like, timeline, and like a pretty big thing for you to have to actually fight through in the story and kind of like fight for. So
yeah,
kind of motivates you more. And you've actually, can I use this as a segue to talk about something here?
Of course you can.
Because you've brought up story as like the thing that's made like the original game so captivating and so alternate history is a great way of saying it. You've brought up the story as like a thing that kind of like reels you into Blazkowicz's story in the old games, and I found myself not caring at all about anyone in this story and in this game within the first few hours of playing. Like, you play as Jess and Soph, thought they were really, really cool. They get roped into like killing Nazis as part of them trying to find their dad, which doesn't really have a lot of backstory. It's not a really strong backstory in itself anyway.
Yeah,
they're trying to find Blazkowicz, and the adults are saying, like, if he's gone and he's missing and he doesn't want to be found, you're not going to find him. And so they kind of insinuate he's gone, but he's gone because he wants to be gone. And it's like, okay, so why are we trying to find him? If he wants his alone time, why on earth are we going across this whole story? Like, we should have never left.
That's right.
We should just stay and wait for him to come back. And I don't know how the story ends because I haven't played past, like, I think I've sunk about 5 hours into the game, and I kind of stopped there because I don't care for the characters. I cared more in the first 5 hours of the other games for the characters in those than I have for this. And the whole story in my mind already just seems pointless. I also didn't understand how Jess and Soph got thrown into a scenario where they have to kill Nazis. They sort of like stumble into killing one by accident because they fumble their way into, like, you know, knocking him out and shooting his head off.
Yep.
And then one of them throws up because they've just killed someone. The other one's got like his brains in their mouth.
Yeah.
And then they just start laughing it off. It's like, that's not, if you've just killed someone, nobody handles it like that. And then you're suddenly this adept killer that starts slaughtering Nazis.
Yeah. It was one of those moments, right, where I felt like the humor, they were trying to normalize violent humor, or normalize violence in a way, and the humor of it all really fell flat.
I didn't find it funny. I actually found that scene just really, like, not awkward, but just like off-putting. Like, it's like nobody falls into killing people that easily ever. Yeah. Like, I mean, I can't imagine. You need to be like a psychopath to be able to just like kill someone.
I can understand
throw
them,
up and then go on.
Yeah, I can understand them trying to tell us a story by doing a scene like that and tell us that, you know, this is the kind of violence that is experienced now in everyday America, or whatever it is, in France or wherever they are at the
France
time.
In the story,
yeah. At that time, you know, this is they're trying to normalize that kind of violence in a way that's saying that this is the kind of stuff that we're experiencing in this timeline. So it's a very normalizing. It's a very it's not off-putting for people like them to actually shoot off a head and experience it. It's humorous. It's funny, and you know, when they're like, yeah, and she's like, oh, and then afterwards, you know, and then just she goes, oh yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. God, what is that?
It was I didn't enjoy that after that. Like, once that happened, it was like the gunplay was great, but like I already kind of felt like their relationship was just weird.
Yeah. So, and speaking of that, so let's jump into their relationships. They're known as the Terror Twins, Jess and Soph. I feel like throughout the whole time of watching their story, even from the start with BJ there, and then like him training them and everything else, I almost feel like their relationship was kind of forced. It almost feels like they're fratty. They're not even sisters; they're bros. Half the time, and like I can understand that they live in isolation, segregated from the rest of the world and what's going on around them because it's such a violent place to be in at the time. And BJ's probably protecting them from the outside and all that stuff, and he's training them to understand that this is what you're gonna have to go through to survive. However, in terms of that, I feel like there really isn't necessarily a story there for them to. Like, it's almost like BJ's trying to protect them, but has taught them to be this way. And then afterwards, it's like, well, who are we pointing fingers at for this kind of plot line for these two sisters? Yeah. Are we saying it's BJ's fault, or these sisters kind of raised themselves in some sort of influence, or because the mother would probably have some sort of influence as well on these two. But it's kind of confusing when you sit back and look at the broad spectrum of actually when you're in creative writing for a plot line, you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I was watching these two, like the scenes of them in the elevator, the loading screen of them in the elevator, I was like, man, they are such little two fucking annoying brats. Why would I want to even play as them? But don't get me wrong, there are moments where I feel like it was great to play as these two twins and everything, but I just felt that I didn't like them.
Who did you pick in the start, actually, by the way? I picked Jess. I picked the blonde girl, short blonde, yeah.
I picked Jess.
I didn't expect, and I obviously, like, I don't know whether it's, I don't really know what kind of set my expectation, but I always thought, actually, maybe it was because of it might be because of the way that the game started. Like, there's Soph out in the field, like, trying to shoot, what was she trying to shoot, a ram or something?
Yeah, that's right.
And she's preparing to shoot a ram or like snipe a ram with a whatever she's got. Mm-hmm. And Jess is off like with a punching bag and like she's like tiring herself out, trying to like do practice hand-to-hand combat kind of vibes. I think that was what set my kind of like gave me the so it sort of preset what I thought their attitudes were going to be like when they started in the game. I thought Jess was going to be like the real hardened, like, I'm ready to fucking murder Nazis, like, let's go, I'm the hardened one.
Yeah.
And Soph gave off this really innocent sort of like, I'm just trying to become better kind of vibe. And then you get in there and Jess is the one that starts throwing up and it's just like, oh my god, this is crazy. And then Soph is the one that kind of has this hardened, like, let's just get this done. So the start of the story portrayed them in such a way, and then when you finally get into it, they don't seem the way that you kind of expect them to be.
The roles are reversed.
The roles reversed, but when you actually get into the whole like combat scenario, and it was really off-putting. I didn't know. I felt like I had gotten my characters mixed up at one point.
No, you're right. I felt exactly the same way. From what was portrayed in some of these teasers and trailers was that. I would have thought that the other one would have been the weak-stomached or whatever, but it's not even like that. I feel like, for me, I would have thought that these two would have been, badass, feminine, The problem
just like the female version of Blazkowicz, basically,
right?
But like with different, like I don't know, different personality traits.
What I would have loved to have seen out of them was more like I put it like this: a Cassandra Cage out of Mortal Kombat cross with a Faith from Mirror's Edge kind of attitude. They're strong, feminine, protagonists. They're not these fratty boys. Like, that's how it came across. These frat boys from college.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty apt description, actually. That's probably the best way. I've not read any reviews on this game really so far, but like I can't really think of any other way that best describes them other than what you've just said.
Because that's like exactly what I felt like. They were frat boys from college. I felt like I was playing. They might as well, like, honestly, I feel like, and I hate to kind of turn it into a PC kind of conversation, but I feel like they kind of spun it on its head when they had two females being protagonists, but they're kind of portraying frat boys in college. I was like, man, I would have loved for these girls to be tough girls, tough women in this game, and give off a vibe that women are badass too. Because I know women are badass too, but I didn't get that vibe out of this. I got this vibe that these two women have been raised by this bloke, and they've taken everything that they've known from BJ, and have been raised as boys, and then turning into frat boys.
Yeah,
It's just-
I can definitely see a lot of what, like, even like the dialogue that they use when you complete different things in the story is like, I can't think of exact words right now, but I know like the mannerisms and the way that they speak and the attitude and the inflections in their voice also gives off that kind of frat boy vibe and that frat boy attitude while they're talking.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, that kind of reassurance in the game was just like a little, I don't know, jarring. And yeah, it didn't portray the expectation of the characters that I had as well as they could have.
Yeah. I'll ask you this. Do you feel like, I'll put it like this. Did you have any fun playing this game though?
I did for the 5 to 6 hours I've sunk into it, yeah. Or five hours? I think I put 5 hours in, yeah. I did enjoy some of it. I stopped playing because I got very frustrated with the mechanics in regards to checkpoints and guidance and how linear the game actually is. I know. Did you see that at all, or were you not there? I can't remember.
No, I was watching your whole stream.
Yeah, so for audio listeners, like I got to a certain point in the game where I thought that my next step was to go through a certain area in the game because it had an exclamation mark on it. So I started going through what was Brother 3 or something like that. It was like a raid mission. I started going through down that area because it just had an exclamation mark on it, and when you clicked on it, it gave you no warnings. It just let you go. I started going through this area and then found out soon that when I got there, the exclamation mark meant that I couldn't complete this area because I was too underleveled. And so a door that I had to hack to get through, or like put the passcode in for, I got through this door. And then I went down into Brother 3, and I was like, okay, shit, I'm too underleveled. Let's turn around and go back. And then after I left the area, I went back to that door that I wanted to go backtrack through. And I couldn't because I'd left the area and it had locked the door again as if I'd not even been there. And so because of the checkpoint system and how spaced out and I'm just going to say broken it is, I had to go back all the way to the I guess like your home base. I had to respawn all the way back there and start my entire path over because I'd gone the wrong way. And stuff like that was exceptionally frustrating. And the game doesn't feel like it's well guided at all. There's a lot of games out there like, we'll use Kingdom Hearts for an example. There's games out there. Kingdom Hearts is a different game, of course. I know they're completely different. They're night and day games.
That's okay, yeah, of course.
However, things like, although it's blatantly obvious,
I want to hear this. This is going to be great.
Well, I mean, this is collecting things, but like when you're out and about in Kingdom Hearts, you've got like Donald and Goofy every now and then, or even Sora. They'll say like, "Hey, there might be a lucky emblem around here, or this might be a good spot to find ingredients." There's small guidance things that come up like that every now and then that say like, "This is an opportunity for you to do something," or they'll guide you towards an area that you're supposed to go to. Whereas this game, after you've been walking around, like other games as well, will give you some form of an audio cue to be like, we're going the wrong way. Maybe we should turn back and check out something else instead. Maybe there's some other way that we can get to the objective that we need. But instead, the game allowed me to walk all the way to endgame territory and actually start to interact with the area I shouldn't be in before I had to before I realized it's time to go back. Like for a linear game, I didn't understand until I dug further where I was actually supposed to go. And the fact that a story-based game required me to dig to get to where I needed to be was very foreign to me. And I don't think that they've structured it well in that regard. It's a very new and jarring experience.
I've got something similar that I wrote down when I was taking some notes for the review that I'm going to be writing up, by the way, on dashgamer.com. For everybody out there, we'll have a full review up of the game as well. But I did write down that I had problems with the map as well. Going through some of, like, I think my problem was, first of all, initial map design. Found it confusing as fuck sometimes. Some of it, like, they had almost like an arena kind of style map, and then afterwards at points you have enemies that are going to come out from different rooms here and there, left and right, and like the map layout was almost forced in a way to make it seem that if you were playing with somebody, it's a perfect layout because you'll go one way and your buddy will go the other way, and if you weren't, you were playing with AI. But the problem with the AI was if you were going one way, your AI would go with you, so it wouldn't completely divert.
I will give some praise. I am really, really happy with the way that the AI worked in regards to interactive locks or puzzles though.
Yes.
I never had any troubles. I will give great praise to the fact that as soon as you go to a puzzle that requires two people to interact, as soon as you go there and hold the button, your AI just immediately is like, time to go, runs off, grabs the code for you if you need it, or grab the other lever if you have to, push the other button if you need to.
Yeah.
Sorry to like slide in there and just add that, but
No,
I
you're
loved how well
correct.
the AI worked in that respect. Yeah.
No. I completely and totally agree with you. But in terms of the way the map layout worked and with AI and all that, I kind of feel like it was kind of forced in a way that, hey, you're either playing with somebody and they're going to know what they're doing, or the AI is going to be following you, because pretty much that's how it's going to be coded. But at the same time as well, markers on the map as well, when you would reach it, and then you got confused of like, what the fuck's going on? Perfect examples at the start of the game, when you're on the ship and you get to the elevator. I got into the elevator and the message popped up on the screen. It says, do the double jump up the elevator. I missed that message. I was like, oh great, I don't even know where I am now. What am I supposed to be doing?
No.
So I left the elevator, and then like I'm running around the ship for like a good 10 minutes. Like, where the fuck am I supposed to be going? There's no marker on the map anymore. I don't even know where the fuck I am. Where am I supposed to be going? So it was about a good 10 to 15 minutes before I found out, hey, you're supposed to hop up the elevator.
Hop up the elevator, because that's the first time you do the double jump, isn't it?
Right. So
because you double jump up the shaft, like the poles on the sides. You like double jump zigzag, yeah.
Correct, yeah. So my mistake was I hit the button by accident that took the dialogue off the screen almost immediately. I'm like, oh shit, what was that about? And then I kind of was like looking around this elevator. I'm like, is this elevator going to move? Is this what's happening? And then I like left the elevator shaft again, running around the ship for like a good 10, 15 minutes, like trying to figure out where I'm going. And all it said was in the top left-hand corner was you have to find, I can't remember who the character was, but you have to find somebody on the ship. I'm like, oh, great. So I'm running around. I'm like, where is this? Where am I supposed to be going? And everything. And then I figure out finally, oh, I'm supposed to be double jumping up the elevator shaft. Great. Honestly, if you're going to move off from the marker, I think the marker should reappear again so that you know, hey, you're going the wrong way.
It should never disappear. Here we go. Dash is gonna hate this, guys. We're gonna use Destiny. As soon as you reach your marker in Destiny 2 and like you stay there, but your marker will never disappear until you've achieved what that marker is there for. If you walk away, the marker stays. I'm saying Destiny 2. There's plenty of other games that do that, but with your circumstances, you got there, pushed a button, and then the whole objective has just disappeared from your screen, and that seems again very counterintuitive and not a good UI design for knowing what you need to do.
No, exactly. There were moments like that in the game. I had a couple of buggy moments where I was shooting enemies. So I was playing co-op with a couple of friends, and with a couple of friends, but I say one friend here, one friend there, because obviously you can only play two at the same time. But when I was playing, there were a couple of issues that we both had where we were shooting enemies. Now, I checked if this was connection issues. This was not. This was gameplay. So I was shooting enemies, and as I was shooting these enemies, I was landing some headshots, man. I was like, bang, 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 bang. These enemies weren't taking damage. But it wasn't that they were leveled up, but that's another problem that I'm going to bring up as well. It wasn't that they were leveled up as bullet sponges. There were delayed times that these enemies were taking these damage. So it was like, bang, and then tick, tick, tick. Okay, damage hit. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I've hit these enemies like 50 times.
You actually got like lag experiencing in the game, like without playing online. That's so strange.
Lag in game, and this is like on PS4 too, and that's what's odd about it too. So I'm like hitting them, bang, 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 and it's like tick, 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 damage, 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 damage. I'm like, okay, so I asked my friend, I say, is this happening only on my side? He's like, I think so. And then like 5 minutes later, he's like, oh no, it's happening here too now. I'm like, what the fuck? So there was a bit of there was obviously some buggy shit happening there. But the other thing was difficulty spiking as well, with leveled up enemies that were just above, level to me.
Yep.
Just above. But they were complete bullet sponges. You'd shoot the fuck out of them, and they weren't taking any damage. It's like, what the fuck? Just die already. We can. Do you want to talk about the leveling system now? Do you want to go? Yes, please.
Dive into that, because I definitely feel like for a Wolfenstein game it was out of place.
Yes.
And an unnecessary addition, and added a whole heap of stuff to it that you shouldn't have to worry about.
That Robert Downey Jr. Preach. Yes, you're right. Go on, please.
It wasn't sure. It's good that they've tried to do something to make the game a little bit better.
Yeah.
But there was enough customization in the game, or not customization, but there was enough freedom in the game already and different ways to play it with all the different guns you can choose, all the different combat options. It was enough. It was fine. I can understand why they added it, because the way that they've designed the game, it's more open world instead of the previous Wolfenstein games being linear.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's because they've steered so far from traditional Wolfenstein. Let me actually put the preach up.
Yeah, go on.
Because they've strayed so far from traditional Wolfenstein format.
Yeah.
And they've changed so much. It just didn't feel like a Wolfenstein game. First in character development, second in like the story overall, and then third in the actual mechanics of the game. There's just so... Yeah. I really didn't feel like the leveling was in place. And exactly the same. You play Wolfenstein, you play like, all the Wolfenstein games, like the new generation of previous games. And even like, obviously you can't skip to the end of the game because it's supremely linear. You go through the game and it's like, here's your path, go that way. But even if you grabbed your character from the start of the game and gave them all the guns and dumped them at the end of the game, you would have just as much of a chance fighting them as you did anywhere in the game, because you don't level up like you do in this one.
Correct, yeah.
And I found it really jarring. Exactly the same experience. There were those big mech guys in the huge suits.
Yeah.
And normally in an old Wolfenstein game, you've got your full auto machine gun.
Yeah.
And you mow somebody down with that thing, like 4 or 5 shots, and you just see chunks of health. Someone 1 or 2 levels above me, I remember spending clips, like a whole clip just to kill one guy. And it's like, this is nuts. This is too much. This is too much for me to have to. And there was the mechanic with the different ammo types too. You've got the different types of damage that the bullets do, or different guns do different like armor damage.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool mechanic, but also again kind of unnecessary.
Yeah.
But I can also see again why they would have added it to stop people running around with that shotgun, because that's pretty much all I did in the old Wolfenstein games.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on the whole thing? Like, what do you think about the leveling system? Because I've just kind of vented my spleen.
No. You're completely correct on everything that you said. So I almost feel like I got nothing to say on it. Like, I feel like the upgrade system was unbalanced. It definitely doesn't feel like an upgrade system that you would have in like a game of like Destiny or anything else. I feel like it was...
Holy crap, did you just praise Destiny?
I am praising Destiny.
Oh my god, can we clip that? Can someone in chat clip that, please?
The difference between the two is that I almost feel like it was one of the most cathartic upgrade systems that we have. There was barely anything there. Like, there was no juice to it. No. It almost felt like, hey, we're cool now. We've got an upgrade system. No, you don't need it. You're a gun. You're a gunslinger. Pick up a gun. Bang, bang, bang. Whoop! I'm out of ammo. Throw the gun away. Pick up another gun. Bang, bang, bang. That's what Wolfenstein is and always should be. The upgrade system should not be a thing. Armor system in Wolfenstein should be a thing, but should not be a thing where, hey, we're gonna mech armor suit because we're 19 years in the future now. Hey, guess what? That's not the way that history would tell us that it would work in terms of an alternate timeline for like a Nazi war or anything like that. Because if you're still in a Nazi war 20 years into the future, then there's probably a regime problem in terms of that then afterwards too. That's also where a plot hole lies as well. So it's just in terms of like this upgrade system that they've put in just feels like it's another fucking punch to the gun to the series. It's another forceful act that they've done into the game. I feel like they didn't need it from the start. When I first heard that there was an upgrade system in the game, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I go, it's Wolfenstein. You pick up the gun and you shoot people.
You grab gun, shoot gun.
Yeah, that's it. That's I realized that there is now a place for that in modern day first-person shooters. Plenty of them have it. Once again, Destiny. But like Destiny, Borderlands,
even Call of Duty, you can run around the campaign. You start with your default guns and you pick up other people's weapons over time, like in the campaigns. I love that. Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah,
beautiful.
Exactly. That's actually one thing I want to ask you as well. Do you feel like with the influence now of games like Call of Duty, I feel like the number one influence that has come out of and this is going to be a very odd one that I'm going to throw out there. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare has had some of the biggest influence in terms of upgrade systems because it was so futuristic. With the double jump the wall running, all that kind of bullshit that they introduced into the game. And then like other shooters took elements from Advanced Warfare and threw it into their game. I felt like there were a couple things that they took from that again and put it into this game, but they did it so lackluster
Yeah.
that it just doesn't deserve to be there. Like, that's my problem right now with this upgrade system kind of spiel with any first-person shooter game, is that they lift from... I understand there's inspiration, but there's also direct lifting and doing it wrong. And this is where I feel like they lifted and they did it wrong, and they didn't need to do it at all.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I like if they just give you abilities, like as time goes by. Like I know there's some cool things you can. Again, you choose how you spend these leveling points, but there were things like you unlock the ability to dual wield, you unlock the ability over time to be able to.
That was terrible, by the way. That was terrible.
Dual wielding was an option you could do right from the get go in standard Wolfenstein. I'm pretty sure, or at least after a short period of time, you could choose whether you wanted 1 or 2 guns.
And you can only dual wield pistols in this one. What the fuck?
You can, yeah, I did notice that. It's only, and even then, it's not 2 of the same. Like I thought that it was going to be, because I got ready to shoot with like my mouse, and I was getting ready to shoot, like, you know, right click was like or both of them were machine pistols, so it'd be like brr, brr, each hand. But instead, it's your 2 pistols, but one of them is the single fire pistol, like your standard silenced pistol, and the other one is the machine pistol.
Yep.
I could never get it to, unless I missed something, I could never get it to match dual wielding. I always had each type of pistol in my hand. Did you get that, or am I missing something?
You probably missed something. I think you can, but
okay, I missed something then. That's my bad. Scratch that.
Although I might have to double check on that. It may have been me thinking wrong, but I'm pretty sure you could match the pistols.
Okay, never mind. I retract my statement. I couldn't figure that out. I was handling 2 different guns, but they were both pistol types at the same time. So
maybe you're right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's all good.
No, that's right.
But still, yeah, the fact that there's like different things in there that you have to spend points to upgrade.
Yeah.
I think that it would have just been better, like as you go, just like unlock abilities, and it's like, oh, you've found a new upgrade component for your suit. Now you can press shift to dash sideways and stuff like that, instead of like having to pick an upgrade tree just as you play the game. Like, here's different upgrades, or like have a tucked away like upgrade mechanic or upgrade point thing somewhere else in the story, like a hidden room, instead of like having to pick and choose these points and things as you go. Like all these different point systems felt really unnecessary and just very jarring and confusing and complicated.
Yeah, I agree. So let's talk a little bit let's go back to the story for a little bit, because
I don't know as much about it as you, because I know you've gotten to the last boss and I'm 5 hours in, so I'm not even a true 5 hours in. I've like not even played 5 hours probably because I got stuck and dicked around a lot.
So the game is actually around about, well, they've said it's like 12 hours, and from what I remember, I actually played more. I almost went to maybe about 17 hours. So maybe, I don't know, maybe because it was difficulty and actually trying to...
Well, you're a collector though as well, so I feel like you've gone around and grabbed a bunch of stuff and spent more time looting and shooting. Yeah.
So look, from what I played of the story, I enjoyed the cutscenes. I still didn't enjoy the character though. In character interactions, I felt like, you know, people like Jess and Soph and their friend there, Abby, just there were even Abby Walker, no charisma. I was like, what the fuck? Who are you and what are you? It's like you are bland as fuck right now. I don't care about you. So there were things like the cutscenes. I feel like BJ showing up at the start, and I can probably just say near the end. Just kind of just...
I mean, it's a given that he's going to pop up near the end.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
you're trying to find the guy.
That's right. I feel like those were the most important parts of the game with BJ on the screen. Other than that, I think that the story was just completely forced down your throat and wasn't necessary whatsoever. I don't know whether that's... if this is like something that they wanted in terms of like, hey, you know, we're just doing this to introduce these characters for future use in mainline Wolfenstein, because you can't have BJ forever, which is bullshit, because what they've done is just a time skip 19 years ahead and just kept it mainline. They could have even just said, hey, we're just keeping it mainline Wolfenstein. Here's a short entry into the series while we work on the main game, which will be next gen. But yeah, I don't know about that. Like, honestly, right? Like, the whole Lab X deal as well. What a terrible fucking name for a Nazi camp. Like, hey, he's over at Lab X. That's like some of the most laziest writing. It's almost like, hey, so we're sitting down at Tomorrow Creative. What are we going to call this lab? Let's just call it Lab X for now. Okay.
What is like the biggest, most important destination in the game going to be called? Lab X.
Yeah, Lab X. It's like, okay, we'll just call it Lab X for now. That's what's going to be on the whiteboard. Let's plan out the entire game and then come back to it. All right, game's got to go gold next week. we've got to come up with a name. Oh,
Keep it Lab X.
It's Lab X. It's Lab X now. It's been Lab X in the fucking script. You can forget about it now.
Fucking damn it.
That's how I felt. Like, hearing that name, it's like, do Lab X. I'm like, ugh, that's a terrible fucking name.
It's just a cop-out, yeah.
Yeah. So there were moments like that in the game that just felt like they were completely forced. Do you feel like there was any bottlenecking throughout the game at all?
In what regard? Like, yeah,
trying to progression.
Well, I got bored really, really quickly after, like, I think my boredom was contributed to mainly by having to...
Because it wasn't Destiny.
Nah. God damn it, Dash. My boredom got contributed to mainly because I had to backtrack, first of all, because I went to an area I shouldn't have been able to get to. Yep. Also, when it came to one of the things that really frustrated me was the rate at which enemies respawn.
All right.
And I got really, really sick of having to run and gun and shoot. Another thing I'm going to go into in a moment. But I got really over the fact that, like, when I tried to backtrack, I went through an area, got to the end. I was like, shit, I can't go there. I have to go back. Finally figured out a way to go further back. But all the enemies that I just spent the last 20 minutes battling through, some of them quite difficult and above my level and all that kind of stuff, I had to then, as soon as I had left that area, all respawned. Everything came back, had to do the exact same fight in reverse to get back out from where I was.
Yeah.
And even in, like, your main, like, city street areas too, like, if you go to one area, there was a mission where you had to grab a this is the one that frustrated me. This is the mission that I was like, you got to be joking me. There's a mission where you have to you find a laser in the back of a bus. And you turn the laser on, then you flick the switch on the laser, and you're like, oh shit, it's got no batteries. Time to go get a battery. And then you go to a whole new area to get a battery. You battle your way to get this thing, you grab the battery, then you have to take that all the way back, and then you're back in this area, and all the people that you just defeated, like, not 15 minutes ago, they're all back again.
Yep.
All exactly where they were the first time. They've all respawned. It's like, there's no continuity in the fact that you've, like, maybe if you went back to your home base and then came out, they wouldn't have respawned. But, like, you just constantly, like, it just felt like there was no break from shooting. This is the other thing that killed me. The stealth mechanics are atrocious. It is the most poorly done stealth mechanics in a game I've played in a long time. Metal Gear Solid, like PlayStation 1, like the most basic of stealth-based games at times, does stealth mechanics a million times better than this. You got this little press C to go cloaked and crouch down, and you throw, like, a throwing knife at somebody. Sometimes you don't know if it's going to even kill them because of the amount of armor they have, and then you immediately get caught. Alarm bells from one dude who's seen you for a split second.
Yeah.
I hated the stealth mechanics in this game. I never felt like they worked.
So two things you just mentioned.
Frustrated.
Two things you just mentioned that we can actually now go throw back to Take Your Hearts for a second here.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you didn't know, we've been playing. Holmesy played Persona 5 for a full year.
If you didn't know,
if you didn't know, if you haven't, if this is your first time listening to Dash and Holmesy was originally Take Your Hearts, which is a Persona 5 podcast or series. And in that, Holmesy just mentioned two things. One is leaving an area and coming back to an area, and your enemies have all respawned. Persona 5 did that.
Persona 5 did that, yes, it did.
2, stealth mechanics were atrocious in Persona 5. You know why? Because you could hide in a corner, right? And you could even, for example, this is a square. This is the corner here. Well, I should just do this. This is a corner here, and your enemy's walking up this way. If
you can stand in plain sight.
You can stand in plain sight while your enemy's walking this way and approaching you, and they wouldn't see you.
I know that, yeah.
Now, Holmesy loved Persona 5.
I did.
This is saying something now. And the reason you did was because it had a great story to it, right? This game, because it didn't initially have such a fantastic story to it, doesn't sink you in. You know what I mean? Even to the gameplay core of it.
Yeah.
Without that story to it now, which has become, like, a lot of people say, oh, the game doesn't have to have a great story, it's got to have great gameplay to it. This is a problem, because without great story and gameplay, nobody gives a fucking rat's ass about your game. And that's the problem I'm finding with this one as well. Not that I don't give a rat's ass. I actually love Wolfenstein, and I did have fun with this game. I had a lot of fun playing this game, or else I wouldn't have reached the end boss.
Yeah.
I would have given up. Trust me, I would have given up. I'm a person who doesn't have 10 minutes a day to sit down and scratch his ass. I'm somebody who needs to move on quickly, because I've got 10 games to review in a day, and I'm like, okay, I can't spend any more time with this one. I'll quickly write up a review and be done with it. No. If I didn't have fun with this, I wouldn't continue. But I had fun. However, the game had too many faults with it to actually turn around and be like, this is a great game. Because, unfortunately, it's not. It's, is it a solid game? Would you say it's a solid game?
It's not it's if you took away all the bells and whistles and you made this, you could just strip back all the extra crap they added and it'd be a Wolfenstein game. If they made the game linear and took away the leveling system and just made it the same kind of game that it was for the original Wolfensteins but with the twins, yeah, it would be a good game. But actually also made the story make sense and make it interesting, because it just, I haven't played far enough as it is, but I already didn't care by like that first part. It was just like, our dad is gone and it seems like he doesn't want to be found because he's gone away because he just wants to be alone. It's like, okay, let's go find him.
Yeah, forced plot line. So let's step away from story for a little bit here and talk about, because I want to jump back to it because I want to talk about the end boss here as well. Because the end boss is just, oh my god. So
spoiler alerts later.
Yeah, exactly. So that'll be when I'll warn you guys. If you haven't played the end boss, that's when we're going to get into it. But I want to talk to you about the graphics of the game, because Wolfenstein, the reboot of the series, has always been praised about how fantastic the game looked. Especially some of the character models in the game, from BJ right to some of the bosses and some of the characters, and some of the enemies that you encounter, some of the layout as well, some of the terrain, the earth and all that stuff, the way they designed it, look remarkable. This game, so minimal, some of the maps, they're so squished in, and we use that word again, squish, squished in, lack of detail. Especially in character models. I feel like this is probably some of the most unrealistic character models in the series so far. They look like Play-Doh models half the time. I just felt like they didn't look human at all. Not to say that BJ looks human at all, but what I'm saying is...
As a tank.
The guy is a tank. But from the series that I have played in the past... No. Sorry, let me rephrase that. From the series, the games that I have played in the past... from its initial reboot to now, it almost seems like it's progressively gotten worse. I don't know if that's time kind of passing it by in terms of its series and them just keeping the same template throughout it in terms of like graphically saying, okay, we're just lifting the same engine and putting it here. But at the same time, I don't know whether I'm questioning myself and saying maybe time has passed by this series in terms of the way it looks now, and they need to kind of sit down and have a graphical upgrade on it. But at the same time, this game looked so plain. Like, especially with Jess and Soph, the character models. If you go if you look at the attention to detail in Soph's hair, which is the blonde girl, it looked terrible. Like, it didn't look realistic at all. And like the blood and the gore and all that kind of look real. I mean, you can't really get any worse than some of the games that are out there these days in terms of some of the jelly mechanics, I guess you call water mechanics, water physics, blood physics. Yeah. You know, there's a lot of perfection that goes into it, but a lot of lack of detail and lack of attention to detail that are in that. However, character models, I didn't see anything special about this at all. What did you think?
I think I might have just gotten caught up in the power suits because I saw those and I got because the deluxe edition I got from Bethesda gave me the deluxe edition.
Yeah.
And one of the skins that was on it looked fucking sick. It was like I can't remember the name. It was like a cyborg one or something like that. Had this really, really cool glow to it. And I looked at it and I'm playing the game on Ultra. Yeah, there it is. It's on screen right now. That one. And I got caught up in this and I was like, God damn, this looks so good. I didn't really pay attention to character models because you don't really get to see much of them as you're playing anyway. Like I was so focused on the worlds.
Yeah.
In terms of attention to detail, even we were just in the underground sewer sort of area there, and I thought that was it was reasonably detailed. It was definitely a different sort of environment though, and obviously we're in the streets of Paris too, so it's gonna be more claustrophobic because we're in a completely different neck of the woods now too.
Yeah.
So I understood that. I can understand it definitely feels like there's less detail in this world. Yeah. A lot of the areas also sort of blended in to sort of look the same because so many of the streets had the same layout. One thing I did like though, which I didn't actually pick up on until some time had passed, was that your double jump could get you to more places than I realized. I was so used to, traditional Wolfenstein games, like you spend all your time on the ground, you're running around on 2 feet, and that's kind of it. In this game, having your power suit, like you're able to double jump up to like ledges, and when you get to those ledges, they can allow you to hook around into like, level 2 areas of buildings. Like you're in like what you'd normally expect in a first-person shooter game where you have to run up a set of stairs. If it was available, you can actually double jump into like extra rooms above ground and get shots on other people. I kind of liked that there were rooms that you could enter that you don't usually kind of see, like you can get access to. Attention to detail, I don't know if I paid as much attention to the graphics as you have for like character models and stuff. But it just looked really good. 144 hertz playing it and like having it on ultra. I was just kind of caught up in like the visual fidelity of the game as it is.
You played on PC.
I played on PC, yeah. So I don't know whether we've obviously got, I don't know whether it's maybe not as well optimized on PS4 because it looked really good for me, yeah.
I don't know. I still kind of sat back and I still looked at the world and terrain around it. Like, as I said, I still sat back with some of the models as well. I was just like, I don't know if this is up to par of some of the games that are out there these days, man. It just didn't look so real. Like, especially during some of the cutscenes. Like, I think the one cutscene that got me thinking that this was the one with Abby, where they first meet with Abby, and
yeah. Well, when they're in the house, you mean? And she's got that sound, like the sonar radar thing, or the voice.
Yes, exactly that scene. And you got a really good close look at all these character models. I was like, man, they look bland and plain and shiny at points. I'm like, oh,
I'm curious now.
Like
take a look after pod. Have a look at just a 1080p like ultra like graphics comparison and see what it looks like compared to PS4. Because I was actually reasonably impressed with the graphics as they were, because I was able to play on ultra while streaming at 144, and it was good for me. I didn't really see much of like I didn't see anything go downwards from the old games. But then again, obviously there's certain capabilities that different platforms have as well. And while PS4 is great, I don't know whether they've had to make any sacrifices because of the way the worlds are. Because technically in this one now, like before it was, you played chapters of the game and it loaded, I guess, as you went. Whereas now it's more open world. The PS4 has to load an entire environment.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's that the game is more limited in what it can display and like quality it can display while you're opening an entire map.
Yeah, I'm going to pull it up real quick. I'm actually going to pull up a graphics comparison video from GameBolt real quick here on the stream as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, while we do that, I'm taking a quick look at it. Honestly, I don't know whether it was optimization between the two, between like all platforms as well. But I just feel like, actually, you know what I've noticed already? It looks heaps better on PC, and it also looks heaps better on Xbox One.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I just had an Xbox One comparison, which I'll just wind back real quick as well.
Windows 10. Yeah, I can see it there.
Yeah, that's right. The optimization, there's definitely a lot more jagged lines of Soph's arms and shirt there in comparison to the Xbox One. Now, I'm not sure whether, because obviously they would use the exact same capture card for the exact same scenes. And I can already tell there's definitely more jagged lines across on the PS4, and this is on PS4 Pro and Windows 10 for our audio listeners out there as well. You can definitely check out that video that I'm checking out right now over on Gaming Bolt's YouTube channel. But I feel like I don't know whether that's going to make a difference. I'm a person of detail these days in terms of the way that you have to detail the characters and the way they look. And if I feel like I've seen better, then I don't know whether that's up to par with what we like. It'd be shit of me to kind of compare anything these days to The Last of Us. You can't do that. It's just unfair.
The game is leaps and bounds. That game is so good.
Yeah, I know. And we're talking like The Last of Us, the first one. And that game, it's shit of me to compare it to, but fuck, it's a PlayStation 3 game that got remastered PS4 and it looks better than this.
Yeah.
So, and it's unfair because, is it really that unfair? We're at the end of the life cycle of a system. You know what I mean? At the end of the life cycle of a PS4 right now.
I suppose it depends, I guess, because you look at things like, The Last of Us and Uncharted. I mean, Naughty Dog are capable of some phenomenal work. And I don't know what they do to make things work as well as they do, but I think it's safe to say that in terms of like PS4 exclusive or any exclusive games, Naughty Dog is pretty much unrivaled in terms of like graphics fidelity. I think they make like the best looking games on the platform.
Yeah.
So I guess like on a PS4, I guess it'd be a little not unfair, but it'd be it's like you can make the comparison, but I guess like Naughty Dog are very, very good at what they do. And I guess like whoever is, was it the Machine Games you said was the
Machine Games, Arcane, and Arcane Studio, I think it was, yeah.
Yeah, whoever has developed this, like it's great on PC, but it may not be very well optimized for PS4. It's if that is the case. That being said, this game's also had to have been, I guess, yeah, maybe it is unfair because Last of Us had to be made. It was made just for PS4. They focused purely on one platform, and this has had to have been made on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So whether there's any complications going cross-platform, if that's maybe taken a toll on what they can actually, I guess, like implement, what they can make like visually capable. I will say though, I like the motion tracking. Like the motion tracking is still on the facial animations. The way that they work was still great. I was happy to see that. Who's I can't remember the lady's name. The lady that you see that flies in on the helicopter from the FBI. She's from the previous Wolfenstein game.
Oh no!
Curly hair.
You stumped me.
But she came in and like I remember seeing as soon as she started talking, it's just like I remember you. Yeah, I liked her character. She was awesome. And again, like the way that she speaks on PC copy, at least, like the motion tracking is great. There's the animations in her face look really good. What she was saying, it looked like she was saying those words. So I've always been a fan of the Wolfenstein motion tracking, at least in the facial animations.
No, I agree. I've pulled up the video again on freeze frame because I paused it and I paused it on a perfect frame as well, where we have Jess's face up close as well, and there is definitely some lack of fidelity in terms of the PS4 version to the Windows 10 version. Obviously, like if you have a good graphics card, you're going to tell. But it definitely more jagged edges, not in terms of like blocky edges, like.
Like a PS1 or something.
yeah, like a model that has jagged edges. What I'm talking about is output. You can definitely tell that it's a little bit more blurrier on the face and detail as well. Even the scar on Jess's face is a little blurrier. But like around the model, like her eyes are like much more detailed on PC, but are still quite detailed on the PS4 version. And like even the jacket that she's wearing, the fur around her neck. This is the opening cutscene, by the way, the guys that for audio listeners out there. The opening cutscene to the game where she's wearing a brown jacket and like it has the fur around her neck there. A lot blurrier than the Windows version as well. So, these are things that I kind of sit back and go, okay, well, it's on console. We're not going to get as good as performance on a end of life console than what we would on a brand new graphics card on PC.
Yeah, of course.
That said, the models themselves still look almost like I'm playing Infamous Second Son.
Yeah, okay.
So if I were to compare it to anything, Infamous Second Son will probably, and not to take anything away from Infamous Second Son, fantastic.
I mean, it was a launch title that looked amazing at the time, so
right.
But that was also 4 years ago.
Correct.
4?
5.
5. Shit.
5. Yep. Or 6 now. Sorry. 5. No, 5. 2014.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. It can't be that long.
Yeah.
I swear it's not that long.
5 years ago, 2014. So it speaks volumes to progressively. Like, honestly, I still think that the Wolfenstein game before this, which I believe was the New Order? No, sorry. The New Order, I believe it was the New Order 2, maybe? I can't remember. The New Colossus.
Yeah, that's it.
The New Colossus looked better than Youngblood.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
At least on PS4 it might have. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say on PC. PC versus PS4 stuff. It's
You PC nerd.
Yeah, I gotta be fair. Fair.
Exactly. No, but I still believe that the game previous looked better than this. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Be interesting to see what they look like on PS, just to see like the comparison between the two.
So that said, let me say to everybody now: spoilers ahead. I am about to talk about the final boss because I know that Holmesy has no interest in jumping back in.
Tell me. Let me know it.
Okay, so spoilers ahead, guys. If you are listening and you don't want to hear about the final boss, please. Click off now or stop listening. Thank you to everybody who listened so far. So, now, final boss.
It's map. Your dad.
No, so you do catch up with BJ, and the whole cutscene plays out and everything. I didn't really give a shit at that point. I was like, man, this story's so done with me. I just want to beat this boss so I can write up this review and talk about it with Holmesy. So I got to the boss. My God, is this one of the most convoluted maps I have ever played, Holmesy? It is one of the worst bosses, one of the biggest bullet sponges, biggest waste. Oh, God. It was a waste in terms of the way that the problem with some of the game is that when you die, you lose everything when you come back, almost. You know what I mean?
Wait, so if you spend your ammo fighting it for one attempt and then you die and you come back, you don't reset to where you had your ammo before, you lose everything.
Yes.
Like everything you use doesn't come back.
Yes.
So it just gets harder the more you lose.
Yes.
I don't like that.
No. And that's why I made it worse. So this boss was hard, dude. And it was really hard. So what I did was I stopped playing. Then I got a call from Ryan Betson from the Pop Culturist. He goes, "Hey, I'm up to the last boss. I need help defeating him." I'm like, "I need help too."
Me too, bro.
We jumped in. We played it for like a solid 2.5 hours. And we both...
Were you guys playing together on PS4?
Yeah.
Like you joined up, partied up, yeah?
Yep.
Sick.
It was not sick. We still couldn't beat it. It was terrible. It was awful. Probably one...
What difficulty were you playing on?
Easy.
Yeah, okay.
Well, we both had it at normal, and we're like, this is not happening. We both booted it down to easy. Still nothing. We still couldn't beat him. It was still the same. It still felt the same. Still playing like it was. Still felt we were playing normal difficulty. We were shooting him. So the way that the map was it was actually. I'm probably going to pull it up, but it was a layout, an octagon kind of layout with 4 towers that went up. 2 of them had elevators that go up on one side, with a scaffold platform on the other side. And the only way you could get to it was making a double jump to the other platform, right? You had 5 guns, 3 of them laser guns, 2 of them semi-automatic, and 1 of them automatic. And it was like, okay, so now we've got to... How do we take him down? You got to aim for his jetpack. Now, if you do not have a partner playing with you in this game, forget it. It's not going to happen. You are not going to beat this game. You have to have somebody playing with you to beat this game. Because one has to be like, hello, they're going to be playing the hide and seek kind of game. One has to be,
like distracting him.
Completely distracting him on one side so you could actually get his jetpack on the other side. If you're not with a partner playing this game, you are not going to distract him.
So the AI was not cluey enough to distract when you're up on the platforms? It didn't do it for you?
Oh, God, no. No, it wasn't. Oh, my God, the other thing, too. The dialogue in this scenario. Oh, my God, dude. It was fucking atrocious. So, like, it was repetitive, constantly repetitive, the dialogue between the 2 sisters. That one of them was like, "Hey, we're going to get you, you bastard. Yeah, make sure that we get you down. We're going to take you down, you bastard. Yeah, we're going to get you down." And it was like, over and over and over. Can you imagine this going on 100 times?
For like 2 hours.
Yeah. I feel bad for people who are wearing headphones, because going to sleep that night after playing this boss, you'd be hearing it constantly in your head. It was the worst, dude. They would repeat lines over and over. It's like, "Oh, you're down, sis. I know, sis. Oh, you're down, sis. Oh, I know, sis. We're going to take this bastard down. Yeah, you bastard. Yeah, you fuck." And it's like, oh my God, every fucking 5 minutes.
That's really frustrating.
It's rough, dude. And then when you finally take him down, right? It's like, "Yeah, we got him. Okay, let's take him down. Yeah,
Phase
we
2.
got him. Phase 2. Then it moved in phases. So when he was down, he takes off somewhere, and then he comes out of an elevator from the floor. So he takes off in the sky, and on the floor, more enemies scatter. So we get more respawned enemies, and you have to shoot them and everything else. More bullet sponges, essentially. And then to trigger him coming out of this building, you have to go down. You have to go back. You have to go back down, and then go to this door that he's hiding behind of. You have to get close enough to this door. Once you get close enough to this door blasts you, and you lose half your health. Like, you have no choice. You have to lose half your health here.
What?
Yeah. And then once again, if you try and get back up to do the jump over to the scaffold and everything, he follows you then. He goes up and jumps over to the scaffold with you. And the guy's OP. He'll just punch you a couple times. Dead. The fuck? It's like, okay, I'm shooting you. Nope, dead. Forget it. And then respawn. You respawn. Back to base level everything. You don't carry
Beginning, like right back to the start.
To the start of the whole scenario.
Okay. Yeah, look, I already said this about the checkpoints, and I think that they were poorly spaced.
Yep.
So to hear that you start the entire fight again sounds very...
There was no checkpoint.
Broken.
There was no checkpoint. Like, when you get to that second scenario, no, back to the start. End of the back of the line. What?
There's even checkpoints in the earlier Wolfenstein games. Like, granted, some of them for me, like, I did get stuck a couple of times, but like, that's ridiculous. That's cooked.
Yeah. So that was my experience. We both exited the game and we were like, we're done. We can't keep doing this. No. So I exited the game and said, forget it. We can't. I just can't get back into it. So essentially, I have completed the game, but not really.
Just watch the cutscene on YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everybody has done from what I've heard. So, but any final thoughts before we finish this up, Holmesy?
I mean, look, I really hope that this is a learning experience for them. While it's a bit of a negative for people who have gone out and bought the game that they may not have. I'm sure people have liked it, or some people will be like, praise the game, and everyone's got their thoughts and opinions on it. But I think, given I developed my own opinion of the game, and then given what we've seen online of it too, it seems like the developers of the game have a lot to learn from.
Yeah.
And I just hope that whatever comes out next in the Wolfenstein series brings it back to at least close to the roots of the Wolfenstein series, and maybe takes like little elements of what was implemented into this game, and just, I don't know,
make it good.
Maybe adds a little bit onto the edges, like just a tiny little bit to the original Wolfenstein style with a bit of extra stuff, not all this extra bulky, unnecessary stuff. It stepped so far away from Wolfenstein that it doesn't feel like Wolfenstein, and it's been a pretty lackluster experience for me.
Yeah. It's that old saying, don't fix what's not broken. And essentially, Wolfenstein, the series, the whole reboot of the franchise, hasn't been broken until now. I feel like them trying to...
It's been great up until now.
It's been awesome, dude. I feel like them trying to introduce all these new mechanics into it have been forced, which is unnecessary. Didn't need it. Look, don't get me wrong, had fun playing this game once again, or else I wouldn't have gotten up to the final boss. There was plenty that was good, but there was plenty that was just wrong. What was good about it was I still felt a sense of look. I love playing Wolfenstein because of its arcade shooter type style. I still felt there was a lot of that. Still felt like I could pick up a gun and shoot people in this game. But then when it got convoluted and complicated with its upgrade system, I totally switched off. I was like, okay, this is going to start becoming like every other fucking first-person shooting franchise out there. I don't want that out of Wolfenstein. If anything, Wolfenstein's been my favorite first-person shooter for a long time now.
A story-based one, absolutely, yeah.
And you know that because I'm not a fan of Destiny. I'm not a big fan of a lot of shooters out there. Call of Duty got me a little bit early last year with Black Ops 4, but still nothing like a Wolfenstein. I really love the old school style shooters. It really gets to me. Like I even go back and revisit Wolfenstein 3D or games like Duke Nukem 3D because they were so good because they were just simple shooters. And I still feel like that formula has its place in today's world of gaming. But whether or not we have, the problem is now with all these upgrade systems and influence of upgrade systems in other games as well, that they feel, or developers feel that they need to lift those mechanics and put them into their games to make them feel fresh and new and exciting and unique. No. You don't need it.
It's not necessary.
No. Keep it to its roots. Don't fix what's not broken. Just don't.
You can guarantee the way it always goes, though, is if they kept the games exactly the same and they're just like, it's the same game, but now with two girls, then I mean, we would probably love that, but guarantee you never please everybody. Someone else out there will be like, oh, you haven't changed the game, you just added 2 characters.
Yeah.
So
I
still think that would have been far more successful, though.
Well, the thing is, I would have preferred it. And I would have preferred, once again, if the characters weren't girls trying to portray frat boys.
Yeah.
Holmesy, we're going to leave with a score today. So
5
out of 10.
Maybe 5.5, just because I did like playing shooty bang bangs for a revisit to the Wolfenstein vibe, but lost a lot of points for everything we've just gone through in the pod.
That's all right. Yeah. Look, I'm still going to give it a 7. I was thinking 7.5. I may change on the written review, maybe, but I think maybe 7. I'm going to leave the podcast at 7. The written review might display something different, but it'll be around that score, maybe a 7, 7.5, but I'll leave it on the podcast as a 7. Okay. I enjoyed my time with the game, once again, but definitely had its problems, its unnecessary tropes that they introduced and everything else. I just don't feel like... Look, it's the worst of the series. Will you have a good time playing it, though? I think you would if you haven't played the other Wolfenstein games. I'll put it that way.
You got no preset kind of expectations. Yeah, it's just like that. The whole thing is new.
You got nothing to compare it to in terms of previous Wolfenstein games. But if you have played games like Destiny or anything else, you're probably going to have a hard time.
Yeah.
Holmesy, that is it for our Wolfenstein Youngblood special today. So, guys, if you didn't know, this has been Dash and Holmesy, Young at Heart, our Wolfenstein Youngblood special. If you like what you've heard today, make sure that you follow us right here on soundcloud.com/Dash and Holmesy, iTunes, Spotify, and other services where you can give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. You can catch Holmesy over on Twitch and on Twitter at HolmesyIn5. You can catch myself on Twitter at Dash Gamers. You can also see all of our lovely stuff over on dashgamer.com, including a full written review of Wolfenstein Youngblood, which will probably go up at the same time as this. So, or not the people on Twitch, but we'll go up at the same time as this, probably tonight, if anything, for the Twitch people. But we'll be back soon. I'm not sure, maybe another 4 weeks from now. We're gonna times this.
We need new games, guys. Well, people release new games so we can talk about them.
Well, we're August, September. We're definitely going to be back with Dash and Holmesy Break Your Hearts, which will be a lot of fun. In November, I've got a bit of a surprise for everybody. I haven't actually announced this, but in November we'll be back with episode 16 of Dash and Holmesy Take Your Hearts.
Ooh.
So some new Persona 5 stuff. I'm actually going to get Holmesy to sit down and play Persona 5 the Japanese version with me.
Doesn't have to get me to sit down and play it. I want to play it.
We're going to play. We'll probably. So this is just news. We're probably going to sit down and play for like the first hour or so, just to get some initial impressions, because it's going to be in full Japanese, so we're not really going to understand everything. But we want to just check out some of the new stuff, and then next year when it comes out, we'll dive into it a lot more deeper. But we just want to get some initial impressions and see some new stuff. So November will be the return of Dash and Holmesy Take Your Hearts. But in October, I'm not too sure. We'll see what happens there. But until next episode, guys, we love you all. Much love.
Stay hungry.
dashgamer.com